Thank you for everyone coming today. This is our video to describe our study in the artists in the digital music marketplace. My name is Chris Castle. I'm a music lawyer in Austin, Texas. And Claudio, why don't you tell a little bit about your background?
Yeah, my name is Claudio Feijóo. I'm full professor with a background both in technology and economics. And welcome. Okay, so the study we have produced is about the status of performance in the new, I would say, digital music marketplace. And the important factor here is there's a streaming imbalance because value of recordings is proven, but however, little revenue is paid to feature performance, and more important, no revenue is paid to non-feature performance. So this study is checking causes, alternatives, and even suggests a path forward to try to solve the issue. Because if the imbalance is not addressed in a way, then it will stay for a longer time. So this is a very simple slide to tell you that streaming, although there are more flotation models in the music industry, in the digital music industry these days, streaming is extremely dominant. And you can see that with the latest figures from the majors, from the Association of Producers.
So there are a number of different sources of revenue for featured and non-featured artists, and this slide addresses it on a high level. We went into a fair amount of depth in this in the study, but what it boils down to is, as Claudio was saying, even under direct distribution or a record deal, the featured artist does not really make very much on a per stream basis. The non-featured performers literally make nothing. There's a couple of exceptions to that, but not anything to be of tremendous significance, because in most countries, they get absolutely nothing at all.
Yeah, about the business model, there are some relevant factors if you want to analyze what is really happening in this digital music market. So first important is there's several consumption modes at the same time. So users, consumers, and platforms, they provide different services at the same time. And one that is particularly important for this study is the lean back consumption mode. It means is the platform that chooses, that understands your demands, your needs, and tries to put the music that is more interesting for you. So you don't have to do anything. This is relatively similar, like a little bit of a substitute for the traditional music broadcast radio, like a digital version of this. So in a way, these platforms, they are using information profiles from consumers as data assets. So they are using more than music. They are trying to understand these consumers, and they are getting value from these profiles. Also, another factor is all of these services, they are put together. And so in a typical streaming license agreement, all the rights are swept under one royalty payment, so they are put together, and still non-feature performers do not participate at all in these royalty payments. So, Chris?
So we, under the current model, the reason why they don't participate is because you have a particular type of royalty deal that is common to pretty much all music services. And when you have an international company like Spotify, they have that same deal present in every country where they operate. So there's basically one deal, one deal structure anyway for all these services. And as streaming becomes more dominant, this becomes a greater problem. The reason why it's a problem is because the way the money is divided up is by taking what's essentially a market share distribution of revenue. So the people who have the bigger market share will always get a lot of the revenue. And what this results in is that fans who play music thinking that, well, I played 3 artists this month, so all of my subscription money is going to those 3 artists, find out that that's not the case at all, that only a tiny sliver of their subscription money is going to the artists they actually listen to, and the lion's share of it is going to people that they never listen to and may never listen to. People who music that they just don't like, right? The other problem that you have is because there's an ever increasing number of recordings on these services. You hear numbers like 60,000 a day are being ingested into the services. That ratio of the royalty pool is always declining on a per stream basis, because people who are in the numerator never will catch up to the growth in the denominator. So you have to look at it over time. And when you look at it over time, so far as from what our research has shown, is that it will, the per stream rate will always decline, which makes sense mathematically when you think about it.
Yeah, when we look in the study, we try to compile as much evidence as possible. And when we look into these figures, into evidence, this is what we've been observing. So every type of stream rate has moved down in the last years. For example, you have here in the figure Spotify figures, and also you have Apple Music and Amazon figures. So basically it's declining. So it's not only a theoretical model, it looks like it's happening in practice. So if we move to the next slide, then another maybe interesting perspective is traditionally you look to what happens with stream rates compared to either the consumer revenue or the money that is transferred to artists and musicians from labels. But there's another interesting comparison, and this is the first column. It is checking which is the part of the value that is given, transfer to artists, the last two files, featured artists and non-featured artists. If you compare it with the real value that is being extracted from the data profiles. Remember, we've been checking this when talking about the business model. So it is about creating profiles, creating data assets from consumers. So it makes sense to compare whatever is given to featured artists and non-featured artists from the value created from subscribers. And then figures are, they are already low. They are even zero in the case of non-featured artists, but when you check it against value, real value created from user profiles, that is much lower than the standard figures. And this is also relevant evidence, we think. And with this, Chris?
So we went through a number of different possible remedies. As you can see, there's quite a few that we looked at. But the general sense is that you can't continue the status quo. There are other models that will fix part of the problem. But what we think will be the most comprehensive and long-lasting and sustainable fix would be to create a streaming remuneration payment that would be paid directly to performers, both featured and non-featured, by the platforms through the CMOs. So it doesn't expand compulsory licensing, it doesn't get in the middle of private contracts, and it doesn't undermine the authority of producers to license their catalogs. And it really just creates additive revenue or incremental revenue to both featured and non-featured performers that's paid by the people who got the value as represented by their market capitalizations, for example. I mean, Spotify has turned into a multi-billion-dollar company, but it pays nothing to non-featured performers. So it doesn't seem fair, and this seems to be, to us, to be a way to remedy that situation, and it's discussed in some detail in the study.
So, final messages. So this is still a struggle for performers. So they are looking for sustainable, transparent remuneration. This is not still in place. Since we produced a report, there have been a number of developments. Very interestingly, one of the major, Sony Music, has changed his policy on recoup balances. And there are some other developments. This is a signal. Things are maybe slowly improving, and everybody is aware that there are difficulties and should be addressed in some way. Good news is there are many opportunities to try to find a better balance for everybody related with the music industry, in particular, featured performance and non-featured performance. So we think, and we are grateful to WIPO for this, that it should be possible to find the means, the legal means, to arrive at something that looks like a better balance than today's. So thank you very much. Pleasure.